Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a short tutorial for the hair, basically how to use the hair brushes and also the brushes from the Noise brush pack or the Portrait 2022 brush pack in order to create the base for the hair and also to finish up the hair with the strands. So if you already have this base in your painting, you can skip directly to the hairbrushes tutorial. But if you don't, you can just follow along the tutorial in order to create your own base for your hair first, which will take some time. So this will consist of the shadows and the midtones and the highlights, and then assigning the colors and then touching up to for it to look like this before you can proceed to using the hairbrushes. Okay, I've sketched the artwork already. So right now what we want to do is to determine the modeling, which is the planing itself. So first, let's mark out the hard edges. I think this would be a very nice hard edge because I want the tone contrast to be very visible here. So this would be our sharpest line. And here, of course, with here. And I can see that there is a planing here. Okay, this is one plane and this is another plane. This will be yet another hard edge that softly flows here. Okay, so this will not be a hard edge, this will be a soft edge. And this is a soft edge as well. But we can have some hard edges. So the important thing is for you to decide where the hard edge is. Like the moment you get like maybe 4 or 5 down, you are probably gonna have an easier time deciding the rest. Like if I don't end this way, it means that here is most likely fading in back into this shape already. Sometimes if the hair is very shiny, you can have hard edges for the highlights, but I think this artwork in particular, I am not gonna have any hard edges, maybe only here, because it might draw too much attention to the highlights. What I want to highlight is like how soft the hair is. So once we have this, you can go a step further and also decide the soft edges if that is what you want to do. So the soft edges is here, it's here, it's here, and then it goes here and here, and of course this one is like that. The next thing to do is to really look again and see if we miss any other planing that we can do, because so far I only found one obvious plane, 2 obvious plane. So we got to find more planes like this because this is what makes our hair 3D. And if you don't have this plane, everything is just going to look flat and like a pile of hair that is of no shape at all. So this would be the planing as well. You should only proceed to the next step once you have understood the form, or you're going to keep struggling in the next stage. Okay, next we are just going to block in the hair. Usually I would just use a dry square brush to block in the hair. I'm just loading in the red brush into my eraser to start carving, and I'm going to go along the direction of the hair. So I'm not carving this way because the hair doesn't flow this way. So I'm actually going along the hair with a very light stroke because that would give like this kind of texture. If you want, you can actually switch back and forth between the pen and eraser tool in order to just touch up the directions a little bit. Basically to fix the boundaries of the hair, and we would use hair flat and hair waves. So see which one you prefer. Because if you draw these strand by strand, it's going to look very awkward. Using the hair flat fixes that a lot. Okay, now I'm going to go into hair waves to fix the boundaries of the hair to get the flow. This brush tends to give you an open-ended wave like this. So if you don't like that, you can change to hair fine. This don't have that problem. It tapers down pretty well. Just swap the brush couple of times so that it's more realistic and not so repetitive. Okay, now let's take a look. I don't really like this part of the shape, so I'm just going to edit the shape a little bit now that I can see the silhouette. I don't like how it cuts into her face like that. If things start getting like a bit messy like that, change to the hair flat brush. This would solve majority of your issue. Okay, so now what we have here is the reference for the hair, and then this is my color palette. So we already blocked in the hair already, and then the next step is actually to just block in all the values in separate layers. So to do that, let's just lighten this blue first because this blue is way too dark. Let's just use this, which is pretty bright. So this will allow me to work from light to dark. This is good, so I'm just going to block it down with the Nicole Roll brush. I'm not worried about the edges and how soft it is right now. I am just trying to get things to their locations. So this app here is called Image Ref, and I like to use it because I can have like a lot of references in this one app, and I can even pick colors. Like I can just switch it to black and white at any moment, and I can even flip the painting. During this stage, you mustn't erase for highlights. Okay, once I have this shape down, which is correct already, I am going to reshape it. So what we are reshaping is the softness and the sharpness of it. So like, do we want to keep this soft or hard? And we have already decided that with the red-green lines, so that is pretty easy for us to do. So for the green lines, we are just going to carve them. And if there is no line, it means that it's soft. So this is a red line, and I am just going to have a soft smudge. Okay, so here is going to be a soft blend. Let's just carve it first. I can get a soft blend using this carve tool as well because I'm on side shader. Okay, so this side shader brush is rotation sensitive, which is why you saw me doing that weird rotation just now. So if I rotate like this, you can see that I'm always facing the sharp edge towards the tip. But right now we actually need a soft shape, so I'm using it this direction. It actually kind of transitions, so you see it's soft here, but then it goes into hard when it comes here. It's perfectly normal. Like, it's your job as an artist to like just notice all these things, like how it goes from soft to hard in one single shape. Okay, so this is what I have at the end of the first pass. So now we're going to go ahead and add another layer and set it to clipping mask and dial the value down again. Actually, all the values are pretty close to each other. Later on when we paint, we're going to have to compress the value a little bit. So the hair is not flat, it also has thickness to it, like this whole thing is like a plane. Now for the next big block, we are going to repeat the same step and put in our last value. So now I'm using mostly the side shader because I can shade easier with this. I'm not really like painting the strands of the hair. I'm mostly modeling the shape that I'm seeing right now. Like this one looks like a curved wave. All the other details, the strands and the hair, can be added in later. So while you're doing this value design, you are actually like deciding how everything will turn out. So if I just zoom out like this, I can see that it's very imbalanced, like, and we have to kind of balance it again. So if it's like that, how would it look like at the end of the day? It will still look weird because first of all, it's imbalanced. Second of all, this thing is sticking up. If we have it this way, we would have to at least get this much done in order to balance it out. So this is the problem when it comes to using big references. It took me so long to pick this reference. Then I was looking at the collarbone like, why is the collarbone like this? And then I look at the ear. Why does she has corn ear? Then I realized this entire image is AI. So this is why like the hair is imbalanced, but it still look nice. So now I'm like in a conundrum, like what do I do with this whole thing? Like they are so real at this point, it's so uncanny and you can't even tell them apart anymore. It's insane. We will have to keep it like this, try and diffuse this, but this stuff here is the problem. So the moment I erase here, everything looks bad again. But to AI, it's like it's balanced because they think they are doing this and this. But it does not work that way, you blind machine. Okay, so now we have 3 layers of value. We need to clean up the shapes and add more detail to it so that the value design is extremely clear. Like you see, if I just add a sharp shape here, it makes a huge lot of difference, right? Your initial shape, the soft and the hard, is going to dictate the output. So it's the contrast between the soft and the sharp lines with the edges that make or break this whole thing. So like here needs to be defined to give that 3D look. Like this is like, oh, it's thick like this. The hair is this thick. So when I talk about the detailing of the hair, I'm not talking about adding strands. I'm talking about adding planes, changing the structure of the current shape and modeling it in order for it to look like a different shape. So I'm not actually like drawing lines here. I am drawing planes, making cylinder, making waves. So this was the first layer that I've detailed. When I'm detailing the second and the third layer, I'm not only painting, I can erase as well. So there are few crucial areas that we need to look at. One is here, because this is where it turns behind, and if this fails, all else fails, the whole thing is going to look amateurish. So first of all, here has to be sharp, and I'm going to start erasing for the curves so that we can see it really turn later on. So once you're happy with everything, we are going to put in our color. So our color is going to be like this. So right now, this color here is actually the mid-tone color. So I'm just going to change it first back to highlights. And then the blue would have to be the light blue. So I am going to just duplicate this 1, 2, 3 times. So for this one, it will have to be this layer. So this layer is going to be the same as the previous one, which is the mid-tones. So I'm just going to drop it in. And then a darker one, which will be here. Here. Alright. And the last one will be our blue. Pink, the darker layer of pink, just... So the way to do this is to unclip these. We have our color values already. We're going to turn this into mask. So first we're going to alpha lock it, and we're going to paint black for everything. And then make a new layer, put this to black. We're going to merge this down. Just do a copy. So this is our base layer. We don't want to touch this. We want to touch the 1, 2, 3 values, right? So value 1, we're going to make a mask, and we're going to swipe down 3 fingers and paste. Okay. After that, we are going to do the same thing for the next one. So we're going to turn this on, set it to alpha lock, and paint the whole thing white. And then this one drop in black, merge down, copy this mask. Okay, turn it off. And turn our second value on and make a mask for it and paste it in. Now for the last one. Alright, so this is what we have right now. Okay, let's unpack what happened here. If you look at my layers, let's just look at the red. You can see that the red goes gradually from light to dark with each value. And then with blue, the same thing as well. Blue, then darker and darker here. So if we already prepared all the colors in advance, this is what we can do. We can just apply mask from our value mask and then just apply them to the colors. Right now, the thing that is most in focus right now is the eyes. But the moment I turn this on, that goes out of the equation because it's competing with the hair. So we can still adjust the value design and the colors from this point onwards as well. In a way, if you want your value design and your color design to stay separate, this is a good workflow for you to get into because you can plan the colors separately like this and the values separately as well for you to test and change at any time. So the first thing that we want to change is this one. So for this one, the first thing that we can try is maybe drop in a lighter pink for our red here and see if it works. Okay, now we can see that it's much more subtle because it is only a slight jump from here. So the next thing that I would like to change is the mid area right here. So I want this area to already be blue, this part here. So basically I'm going to mask out where I want the blue to happen, which is here. And for this part, mostly here, but not affecting this part, okay? So these two layers are, at this point in time, perfect. Now let's look at the last problematic layers. Let's just duplicate this layer. The first thing we need to fix is the reds here. That is way too dark. So we would just want to have this red. Let me just drop that red into the color layer. The next thing that we want to solve is the blue. So right now we just want to kind of maintain this identity of this blue and reduce the intensity. So to do this accurately, I have my color here on this swatch. So I'm going to pick this one and pick the same color so you can see the same color side by side. So we can adjust the swatch accordingly and preview it as well. And then now it became like this. So let's just try and adjust the shape. I'm going to click on the value mask and try to adjust the shape. Just a few tests. Let's see if we can make this blue frame her face more. Like if I just remove here, will it help? I think we have our answer. If we keep it this shape, I think it's for the best. So let me just undo. So it's very important to learn how an artist get to this decision making because this is how you can go about deciding what to do when you're creating your own original illustration. It's all about making decisions because there's no one there to make it for you. You're not copying something anymore. If I want to keep this shape, I have to kind of make it make sense, right? So let's just undo it and see if I can just carve out something that makes sense like that. Okay, this as well. For here, maybe just this has to be reduced. Okay, so let me just blend it out and see if we have something workable. I'm just going to use the flat brush smudge because I made very harsh marks that I do not want to keep. For now, I think this would be the design. Let's compare with the old one that I have. So it was previously like this, and then right now it's like this. So less competition, more gradual flow. We can now reintroduce more colors and adjust accordingly. So I'm picking red this time. So it's all the in-between values that we do not have previously that I can now add in. Let me just grab the side shader to continue detailing. Right, so it can be just like that. Okay. So I'm very careful if I'm introducing anything too vibrant because of the nature of this artwork. It's full of vibrant colors, so I have to really control like the amount of vibrant colors that I'm using and where I'm using them. Just pick colors around you to detail the artwork. So I made some adjustments to the hair already, touching up certain details that was missing, but I have not placed in any highlights. So regarding the highlights, if your highlights are not harsh, sharp lines, they can be just gradients. So we have already decided that certain ones would be gradients and certain ones would be sharp. So right now what I want to do is to block in all the highlights by picking colors and painting over them. So we can't pick lighter color from the hair above because it's obviously in a different color because it's a gradient. So we can just pick here and find the correct color first. Okay, so this is very inconspicuous for this part of the highlight, which is what I want. I do not want something that is very obvious. So let's just paint it. And for this part, let's pick the color here. Okay, but I can see that it's getting flatter because I'm treating this like one plane. So I probably have to carve that out a little bit in order to reduce the flatness. So a soft carve would be good. It cannot be the same width as the entire plane. So we would do this repeatedly until we have based all our highlights. So right now we have like a perfect base for the hair already. All that's left right now is just to drop in the hair effects, which are the hair brushes in the noise brush pack or the portrait brushes 2022 brush pack. So the 4 brushes that I will be using is the hair strand, hair flat, hair waves, and hair fine. So for the Portrait 2022 brush pack, it's going to be right at the bottom. So we have hair flat, hair fine, hair round, and hair waves. They are exactly the same, except for hair fine. In order to make it exactly the same, you just go into shape and make sure that this is on azimuth and this one's set to follow stroke. And then this will be perfect. The first thing to do is always to start with hair flat and put in all the textures. So right now we have all our colors already. All the swatches is there already. All you have to do is just to pick them and then to drop in the hair. So a new layer on top of all the other hair layers. This is a flat plane of hair. So you can use this first to add texture. This is also rotation sensitive. So make sure that you are pointing it in the direction that you want to use. So this would just break up the flatness of the modeling quite a little bit. And there's not much to do because the modeling is all here already. But this side, there's a lot more new things to do because this is more of an area where there are more individual strands of the hair that requires this brush more. So we're doing this in order to give a better frame for our individual strands to sit on, because if you just go in with the strands, it's not going to look very convincing. It's going to look like strings on a flat surface. Okay, when we are done, we can switch to the next brush. We're gonna switch to the hair waves brush. So this is a good brush to do waves compared to the hair flying brush, which is a lot more detailed, like there's more strands in it. So this one is less dense in terms of hair, so it's quite easy to control. So I pick colors in the vicinity first and pull down and up before I pick a slightly brighter color to give more definition. Then I use the smudge brush to comb the hair a little bit so that it flows in the correct direction. So we're basically just like extending the shapes into strands and transforming them. It's not necessary to finish the whole hair with the hairbrushes. I think it's too much. You should just concentrate on areas where there is a lot of texture. It's really, really not necessary to continuously create texture across the whole head. Maybe you can ask yourself this question like, in which parts of the head has the most texture? Is it the shadows or the highlights? That's where you'll find your answer. I'm just adding some texture here before I erase them away so that they appear to be from the back. Okay, let's change the brush to hair fine now. This brush actually works a lot better for clumps of hair and also for eyebrows. You can see I can just quickly fill up a brow this way if I want to. But right now I want to leave the brows alone and detail the hair. The last brush that you can use is the hair strand brush. So this brush, you can do all the individual strands with it. So the reason why you're using this brush instead of the natural sketch and smudge brush to do the lining, I find that the hair strand brush is a lot more ergonomic in terms of the level of undos. Like, I don't need so many tries in order to get the single stroke right. So I would say that if you are trying to put in hair strands, definitely use the hair strand brush, or you will keep undoing and undoing and undoing. So this is the brush that is good for just single strands. So obviously you cannot paint the whole portrait with this, but this is good for moments like this when you are almost done and you are just adding in last touches. This is the few single strands that make or break the painting. That shows that like, oh, you have put a good deal of hours in this work. And then also it's good for aging. So let's say I want this edge to be extra sharp. So this is the brush that you would do. So you can see that just these kind of strokes makes a whole lot of difference. See, it's just a lot more effort. When you're doing hair strands, try not to keep introducing new strands, but work on top of what you already have, like producing tiny little highlights. Because this will not overcomplicate the painting, but it will add more definition. You can also continue the hair, like I'm continuing this stroke. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you like this style that I'm developing so far, and also the hair tutorial, of course. So I'll see you next time. Remember to comment if you have any questions, and subscribe and like. Bye.